Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffitt Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everybody. We are on episode number 117, our post-Valentine's Day show. It will have a couple of lovebirds. Local actors Aaron Sharp and Emily Dykstra love the stage, fell in love because of the stage, will be getting married on the stage this spring. Plus, we have a fun conversation with Preston Liebelt, a missionary in Puerto Rico who has ties to the area, sings, is also a self-taught keyboard chordsman. As the late-night infomercials would say, but wait, there's more. It's a triple-decker, four-guest Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversation sandwich. Coming up in just a few minutes, singer-songwriter Brady Reed, his new EP called Dark, drops tomorrow, including his recently released single, Nights, which we will play at the end of the show today. But first, time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. All right, get out the glass, the mug, the bottle, the cup. Whatever you need, whatever you have, probably dependent upon the time of day as you're toasting this. But this Weekend Eve toast is going out to family. I was very fortunate. My sister and her husband and my nephew were here visiting my mom this past, a week ago, really. They just finally left on Monday morning. And it was great to see them, and it was especially great that they come up to see me in a performance. I've not been able to perform in front of many of my family because of distance, etc., and so forth. So it was very nice to have that take place, and very thankful for that. And then also to the families that are created in entertainment and in the arts. You know, I think of my, because they were up here to see us, or to see me in the Midtown Coffee Radio Hour in our live recording, and that's another little family. And then there's this jazz family that I've somehow been lucky enough to become affiliated with, just for the fact that I love jazz. I don't play jazz. I would love to, if I could ever afford another horn. And then there's the arts community and the theater community, and you're going to find out, especially when we talk to Aaron Sharp and Emily Dykstra, that, you know, the theater especially becomes a family when you're so close-knit for so many weeks and rehearsals, you know, so many hours and so forth. So here's to family. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your favorite, Ale Hop Brewery Tours lets you and your friends choose any or all of the 8 local breweries, plus Glacial Lakes Distillery for something a little stronger. The best part, they take care of the driving in a very cool van that sits up to 6. Yeah, they take care of the driving, so if you do have something a little stronger, then you're not going to have to worry about it. Now, they have private tours that you can book online, alehopbrewerytours.com. alehopbrewerytours.com. If you're already out and about on a weekend, though, hop on one of the public tours. For more info about those, call 605-777-2183. That is 605-777-2183. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews, and don't forget about Wine Wednesdays. Honorable mention. Okay. Oh, this one's a fun one. You know, I always like to talk about something that's made me laugh, chuckle, guffaw, slap my knee silly, something along that line throughout the past week. So, over the weekend, my wife went into Quality Nails, one of the show sponsors, to have her nails done. And it's great there. Zaya and Tony are amazing. They have 3 beautiful, funny, and smart little girls now. So, at Christmas time, Carrie gave Tony a T-shirt that said "Girl Dad." But anyway, so Zaya was doing my wife's nails, and Zaya's pretty, fun to work with and so forth. And so Carrie chose out a deeper color this time, and then Zaya realized that the next color with it was going to have to be orange, so it looked like my podcast colors. And then Zaya just put 2 little hearts on that contrast-colored nail. Well, then out comes Mylan, who is in kindergarten now, I know at least. And we've become friends with this family, and they're just wonderful, wonderful kids, and so fun to be around. And Mylan comes out, and she sees the hearts, and she says, "Carrie, we know you love David." Oh, so that put a big smile on my face. No doubt about that, hearing that story. And the nails in purple and orange, the logo colors for the Dave Holly Hour, do look mighty nice. All right. Coming up in a little bit, kids do say the darndest things. Well, later in the show, let's hear what the Lovebirds have to say. Local actors Aaron Sharp and Emily Dykstra, plus missionary Preston Liebelt. Up next, local singer-songwriter Brady Reed talks about his new single and EP on the Dave Holly Hour.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffett, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting. Put it down the front of your shirt. Stop being so, my hand won't follow it. The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffett Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
The Dave Holly Hour. Like eavesdropping on a great conversation between 2 very interesting people.
Welcome back, everyone. Always a pleasure to bring you great artists. And this time around, a singer-songwriter who has a new EP coming out and also has a single that's already out from it. He couldn't wait to release a new song. And welcome back to the program. Is this 3rd or 4th time for you, Brady?
I think this is the 3rd.
3rd time?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
Brady Reed, a local singer-songwriter who's been making some great music. Of course, you may have found him and his wife playing together as Common Ground throughout the summer. A lot of gigs that they did. But Brady is also a solo artist in this regard. And you have the EP called Dark. And the new release, the single from it, is Nights.
Yeah.
Dark Nights. Is there any correlation, or it was just that Nights was part of
It just kind of turned out that way that I picked that song.
Yeah, well, I don't think of you as a dark artist or anything.
No.
So how did the album title, the EP title, come out?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on again, and always happy to sit down and talk with you. Just thank you for all your work supporting the arts in the area. I know everyone appreciates it. So, the new music. Okay, so about a year ago this time, I was releasing my first album. I think that was last time I talked to you on the podcast. Was I released "Wandered This Far," and those songs were a collection of things that have happened maybe up until that point in my life, and mostly happy memories, mostly good things, a lot of positive vibes. And not that since then things have just been bad, but I started exploring in my songwriting just some darker themes that, obviously, as we know, life isn't all sunshine and rainbows.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you got to deal with those storm clouds as well. And so that's where the idea for I had these group of songs that I'm like, okay, these songs are all kind of similar in the style and just what they're written about, some of the topics. And so I'm like, what if I just pulled them together and then dark kind of just came to me. And so Nights, of course, was one of those titles and just happened to turn out that Dark Nights. So,
all right. How many cuts on the EP then?
So the EP has, it'll be 4 songs.
Okay.
Yep. So the Nights is kind of the lead single or the first song you'd hear from it. And then there'll be 3 other tracks coming out as well. Hollow Ground, I Promise We'll Be Back, and Knew You Best are the other track titles. So.
Okay. Well, looking forward to the EP release. But in the meantime, you released early the Nights song.
Yeah.
And my wife noticed that it was online first, and she goes, well, let's listen to it. And we both just went, wow. It's really, really, I mean, everything you do is good.
I appreciate that.
This one really hit us. It's like, it was a step up yet.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't mean to say that you needed to have a step up.
Yeah.
But you could tell there was something more to it. And what about this particular song then that made it feel so good?
I'm not sure. So one of the things that I've done differently with this EP is I'm still working with Mark at Warehouse Recording Studios. He's helping me with...
He's a Mark Dom good man, isn't he?
He is. He's good at what he does. That's for sure. And so he's been helping me mix. He mixed and mastered everything and helped get it sounding just really good. But the part of it that changed is I actually recorded this song all from my house. So I didn't go into the studio to record anything for actually any of the music.
Wow.
I did it all from either my house or I had some other artists who had helped collaborate. And so with Nights, this is the first song that I did everything on. I did all the instruments, I did all the vocals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a big learning process for me. I don't say that to brag, like, oh, I did everything. It was like, I just felt really proud that I was able to do all of the different things and make that all kind of come together. But yeah, Nights that's why I think it's so special to me. And that song especially is because I did everything, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Great sense of accomplishment, obviously.
Yeah, it was. And it made me just believe like, I can continue to do this and even get better at my craft, I guess, or whatever you want to call that. So the song itself, Nights, is the way I describe it is about basically longing for the past but hoping for the future, which I think we all find ourselves at a time thinking those things. And so it's really about some person's journey where they're near the end of life and days seem to the lyrics say the days grow cold, the nights grow long, and things seem to drag on, but you still have some hope that something's coming, whatever that may be.
Well, you're a young man. How did the old part come to you on this?
Yeah, no, I am young-ish. It really came. I was thinking about. I was just thinking about my grandparents, great-grandparents, who I am very thankful to have many of them still living, and I know that is not forever. I know that's, I'm very thankful for that. But I was just thinking about their perspective of how they view life and just even having conversations with those people, my grandparents, great-grandparents, and just sometimes how they talk about life and how they reflect back on what they've been through. It just made me start thinking about myself when I get there someday, what it might be like. I guess.
Have you told them how much they influenced you?
I haven't. I haven't really had a chance to do that yet. Part of it is this. I'm hoping they'll listen to this and they'll get to hear it. But I do want to, when this comes out, this EP comes out, I definitely want to share with them, like, you were an inspiration for this, a part of this. So, yeah.
And when does the EP come out?
So the EP comes out tomorrow.
And we're recording on Monday, so when this comes out, when the podcast comes out Thursday, it will have already been available. And where do we find it?
Well, it'll come out Friday.
Oh, Friday. Oh, you were thinking ahead.
See,
you're a pro at this now. You've been on so often.
Okay.
I didn't give you enough credit there.
That's all right.
Man, that's awesome.
That's okay. No, it'll come out Friday, February 18th, tomorrow, on my birthday.
Oh, well.
So that's exciting. And
I don't have a birthday song queued up or anything, but I can sing one to you.
Okay.
This is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
I've heard that one. That's a good one. Yeah, I like it.
It's a standard for me.
It works. And so it'll come out Friday, and then Saturday. Saturday I'll be doing a kind of a EP release, concert show, whatever you want to call it.
Online
I'll be playing
or live?
No, I'll be playing at Remedy Brewing here in Sioux Falls, downtown.
Yeah.
So. And I may or may not have some special guests with me, but I'm not going to say anything. You might just want to show up and come and see what happens. So
I'll have to check the calendar and see what we have going on, but would love to get to that for sure.
Yeah,
no doubt about that. Because I always love seeing you and your wife Katie when you play together as Common Ground. But also, I don't think I've actually seen you play solo before.
Yeah, it's it's not an entirely different experience. I'll play some different songs that Katie and I don't play together. We have a certain style, I think, that works so well for us and our voices when we play. And so when I'm playing solo, I will explore some different genres and different sounds. I'll try to cover different artists. And what I really like doing is taking a song everyone knows and just playing and singing it just a little bit different. And so then people are, kind of catches their attention like, oh, I know that song, but that's not what I'm used to hearing. And then they can decide if they like it or not. But that's kind of the way I approach my gigs.
Right. I brought up Katie for another reason because, and as I already made the faux pas of saying, is that we're recording on Monday down here in the basement of our wine bar, a very romantic place, but it happens to be Valentine's Day.
Yes.
You have quite the Valentine.
I do. I'm very, very fortunate and lucky, not just in the sense of music, because obviously that's a big part of us and what we do, but just in general, she is a huge supporter of me and my passions and my dreams, and so I love her to death.
Well, is she playing keys on any of the songs on this EP?
Yes, she was.
She does. Because when you said that you did everything on Nights,
so Nights I did everything on, but the other three songs I had help on. Katie helped me with some of that. I also had some help from a friend, new friend, I guess you could say, that I made. His name's Caleb. He's a local guy here in Sioux Falls, musician, worship leader actually too. And he did some really cool parts that I'm excited for people to hear on some of the songs as well. So,
how long did this one take to put together? Because were the songs already songs you had in the vault?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these were songs I had pretty much already written, except for one. There was one I wrote very recently, a couple months ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, but that one wasn't. But the other ones were ready. And so I started recording things in, I want to say like mid-November, early November. So it came together pretty quickly. Granted, it's only 4 songs, but...
but still the process.
Yeah, definitely. There was, I kind of got things started and then kind of had to wait, and then we added some more, and then we had to wait, add some more, and so it came together.
Good, and I can't wait to listen to it when it comes out tomorrow, being Friday. And looking forward to all that. But what was so surprising to you, already having had the songs written, that when you actually sat down to do the recording and then the mixing and so forth, that was there something that came about and you went, oh, wow, I didn't realize I had done that, or that something, really magically happened where you were like, this makes it even better?
Yeah, when I started recording these, I didn't really know what they were going to turn out to be. I think that's part of every musician's journey when they write songs, is the way you write it is not always how it ends up being created, especially when you get other people involved. And I did have a lot of help. And so getting other people's ideas and minds involved in the process really helped these songs come to life. There's one song in particular that really took off. It's called Knew You Best. And I envisioned it as kind of this acoustic, very kind of just laid back but heartfelt song, and kind of turned into a little bit of a rock, not rock ballad, but it's a really upbeat type, similar to a few of the songs on my album, but a whole different sound. And again, that was due to, I think, some of the help I had on that. Caleb came up with some great electric parts for that. So yeah, that was the one song that like I had no idea it was going to end up sounding like that. And it was just so cool to hear it all completed.
So your writing process, do you have the lyrics first and then add the music, or since you do a lot of acoustic things, is it a combination at the same time going on?
I would say I generally like to pick up the guitar and play something and start fumbling around with some sort of guitar riff or set of chords that I like and sounds good. And then the words will usually flow from there. I don't often start with words, although I have started at something now where I will start, I guess, journaling. I don't know, poetry, whatever you want to call it.
Really?
I'll just start writing things down. Maybe it was an experience I had that day or a trip I went on. I'll just write about what happened and how I felt. And then sometimes I'll come back to it like 3 weeks later and like flip through those pages, and like lines will just stand out to me, and I'll just take those lines out and try to put music to it or make it fit.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of fun because I've never done it that way before. It's always been play the guitar, come up with the lyrics. And so
when you are in your writing process and you're coming up with everything, are you old school, pen to paper? Or are you doing it digitally while you think of it? And...
I'm a hybrid. Can I be a hybrid mix?
Yes, you may.
I do still like to write it down paper, pencil, pen, but I also realize those things can get lost and torn and whatever. Right. So as soon as I write it, a lot of times I'll try to type it and transfer it into some sort of electronic format, or even snap a picture of it, because I'm just always nervous about losing it or throwing it away on accident. And it's just easier then for me to have all my songs when I go play gigs, in a stored system. If I want to pull them up.
I was just thinking more so because I do realize that is the way now that everybody's got an iClip on their stand so that they can have their music in front of them on their iPad or whatever tablet they're using and so forth. But just the actual writing process. Yeah. See, because the way you were talking about that's me when it comes to calendars and scheduling and so forth.
Sure. Yeah.
I love the technology that, I can have something in my phone that's also on my tablet and also on my PC. But I still need to have that book. And it's got to be big since I have terrible handwriting.
Absolutely.
I have to have that big calendar in front of me so I can envision it better. Yeah. And go, okay, well, I've got so-and-so on this Monday and next Monday. Yeah. And so I understand that feeling of going from paper to and vice versa. All right. But this EP is going to be fantastic. I just know it. And, of course, you are the copyright owner of this information, correct?
Yes.
So at the end of the show today, we can play Nights.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Yeah,
all right.
I love that.
We'll have that coming up at the end of the show. Yeah. Now, that's not the only thing to talk about, though, because you've been doing some other things and a lot of, I don't even know the word to use, whether it's just collaboration or just kind of get-togethers and so forth. Tell us what you have going on besides the solo work.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Katie and I do Common Ground, and that's that takes up a lot of our time. But I have been also one of the things that I've got connected with recently was a Singer-Songwriter event that's going to be coming up in March with some other songwriters from in the South Dakota area that I'm super excited for. That's at I think it's the Laurel Ridge Barn on March 18th. And so excited to do that. Otherwise, I've been, just collaborating with, trying to connect with some different worship leaders in the areas. That's also something I do, is I play lead worship at church, and that's a big part of my life. And so I've been trying to just collaborate with those musicians and artists as well.
It's become more of your life too, hasn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
What has been the most gratifying thing for you being a singer-songwriter?
Well, I think, just, hearing you even at the beginning of the show here, just mention that you and Carrie listened to the song, and just, just how it made you feel. I love hearing that. I had some people stop me in the hallway today and just, hey, I listened to your song, and it just really made me give me this emotion, or it made me think of this. And so great work. And not so much for the applause, but just how it makes people feel. That's like the most gratifying part, is if it can change someone's mood or day, or connect them in some way to what's going on in their life. That's kind of the best part of being a musician and a songwriter, for sure.
It's been a while since you have been on, so people might have forgotten. But what came first for you in terms of the singer-songwriter approach? Were you a musician first, and then started writing some songs, or were you always writing as a kid?
No, I didn't grow up musically doing a lot. I didn't start
despite your family.
Yes, despite my family's songwriting heritage, which goes back generations. I didn't pick it up until I was about 14. So I started playing. And then I did start writing pretty quick when I learned to play. Once I learned some chords and was like, oh, I can kind of sing, I started writing songs. And I look back now, and they were, obviously I'm going to judge them harshly, and they were not great songs, but they were songs nonetheless. But yeah, the musicianship definitely came first, and then the songwriting. And now I'm just trying to grow both of those as much as I can. So
I always wonder, when you look back and so forth and see things from an early age.
Yeah.
At the time, though, did you think it was really cool that you'd written a song? And did you share it with others? Because at young ages, friends and so forth can be a little bit brutal in judgment.
Well, obviously, I was in high school at the time, and so I would say I was in the crowd of kids where it probably wasn't cool to write songs, because I was also big into sports, and so my sports friends wouldn't think that was cool.
Right.
But I did have a few friends who were also into music, and so I kind of had some people I could share it with, but it wasn't something I publicly
It wasn't anything
announced.
that you were going to be laughed at by your friends, but you maybe just were a little shy. And so what is the confidence level now when you write?
Confidence level? That's a good question.
There it is.
Yeah.
It took 20 minutes to get the good one in this time.
No, these have all been great questions. I would say for me, I'm starting to just learn to trust myself when I write songs. And, I've gotten feedback and critique from people on my songs, and I very much always appreciate that. But I also know no one else can really judge your music, because they're your words and they're your thoughts and it's your heart. And so that's really been my biggest confidence, is just write what's on your heart, and it's going to turn out great. I mean, at the end of the day, that music is for me. It's really not for everyone else. I just happen to want to share it with everyone else. And if it impacts them in a positive way, then that's awesome. But
what impacts you musically?
The music, I think for me, it's just feeling like I'm using the gifts I've been given, that God's given me, and putting them to good use. I think a lot of people get to the end of life and look back and go, I wish I would have done this. I had this talent, but it wasn't cool, or it didn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
And as you may know, being a musician or in the arts community doesn't always pay the bills unless, you're really big and famous. And so I guess I just try to look at it from the idea that I'm doing what I feel I've been called to do and been given the gifts to do. and that makes it all worth it to me. So
that's wonderful. Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your wife, your lovely Katie, is just a few feet away from us. But it is Valentine's Day as we record.
Yeah.
But you guys already celebrated early for that, didn't you?
Yeah, we decided to just avoid the rush of people and take care of that early, and so we'll probably just end up laying low, and that's fine with us because we like that too, just hanging out together and yeah.
Right. Well, we record quite often now here at our wine bar and kitchen, and we are in the lower level because the upstairs is already booked out all night long.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Carrie and I won't be eating here. Quite often after I'm finished, we sit at the bar and have a glass of wine, and she has a beer, and we order up something. And
that sounds
but
great.
tonight, that's probably not going to happen.
No.
So we might try to find pizza.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always a good backup plan.
No doubt
Can't
about
go
it. Is there a favorite or a funny Valentine's story you have from the past?
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's right over there.
I don't know if I should tell this story. I'll tell it. When we were dating, Katie and I were dating in college. I got this it wasn't really my idea, actually. It was my mom's idea. I'm going to give her credit. She knew someone at the time who owned doves, and the doves were trained to fly back to his house within a certain vicinity. And so we came up with the idea to make this heart-shaped box with our initials on it and put 2 doves in there. And then I wrote this poem that I read to her, and her eyes were closed, and then I had her open her eyes, and I had a box with 2 doves in it, and then the doves took off and they flew away together into the sunset. And that was like my favorite. I set the bar really high.
That you did.
And ever since then, it's probably been dropping lower. But if any guys out there,
just perked up. She looked over here.
If any guys want some advice, you can try doves. But I don't know where you find them. I just happened to, they fell into my lap. That my mom knew someone who had
great
doves.
Story, man.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. The typical questions that I end with when you are not being part of the entertainment or arts scene. What do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, I mean, I enjoy going. I do enjoy going to concerts when I can, and Katie and I also like to go see some shows in terms of theater and productions, musicals, things like that. But outside of that, for entertainment, I would say it's probably just spending time with friends, spending time with family. I will say Katie and I we're kind of gamers a little bit,
really,
but old school. So we've been lately been playing a lot of Nintendo 64 and Nintendo GameCube. Yeah, and some people may not even know what those are anymore. No, I don't want to attack anyone's knowledge, but yeah, that's something we do just for fun too. Yeah.
Any other hobbies besides the gaming?
Besides the gaming, no, not really.
Okay.
I mean, music consumes so much of my life, which is a good thing,
right? Yeah.
That I just don't find much time for other hobbies.
It's really a kind of a loaded question when I ask the first one, because I know that quite often the second question's got to be answered.
Yeah.
But it is, but I still keep it that way because I want people to understand that when it comes to the arts, that people are so absorbed in this that, it kind of takes over. It's not a hobby.
Yeah.
It's an avocation.
Yeah.
And it's, people give their heart and their soul to what they do to entertain and provide us with wonderful things to look at in the visual arts and so forth.
Yeah.
So that means a great big thank you to you for what you do and for what you and Katie do as Common Ground. And we still need to have the two of you on as Common Ground.
Yeah, I think we should set that up definitely to talk about. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up this summer and just in our future. We're shifting gears. A little bit, and we could talk about that later. So yeah, we should definitely set something up.
We will do that.
Yeah.
and I'll get out my big calendar so I can look at it. All right. Again, coming up at the end of today's show, stick around because you're going to hear a wonderful song called Nights, which is the single release. It's already out. But tomorrow, Friday, is the EP release of Dark by Brady Reed.
Yep.
As always, my friend, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks, Dave.
it.
Appreciate you.
And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
With him, every day is a holiday. Once again, here is Dave Holly.
Welcome back to the Dave Holly Hour. Guess who I am? Yes, you got it. I am Dave Holly. You people are so smart. I love you for that. And you know what I always like to say? It's always a pleasure. Because it is. You know, sometimes you just happen to run into people. And I've told it many times that, you know, when I started this show, I wrote down a list of at least 50 names of people that I wanted to have on the show. And it might have been closer to 75. I know it wasn't 100, but I've only gotten to like 35 of those people on that list. And that's great because that means I'm never going to run out. Because in the meantime, you keep finding people to talk to and learning more about them. And we're going to learn more about first-time guest, Preston Liebelt. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. And you pronounced that correctly. So I appreciate that very much, Dave.
Well, you know, after so many years in radio, you like to be able to pronounce people's names correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. And even though this is a podcast, not radio, I still like to use that. You know, people's names are important to them.
I agree.
And so that's a great thing. And it's great to have you on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I know you've done a lot musically and so forth. You've been a worship leader and so forth. And so that's part of why we have you on, because it is an arts and entertainment show.
Yeah.
But also phenomenal to know that you just happen to be home right now in Sioux Falls for a while because you're in Puerto Rico.
Yes, I am.
What are you doing in Puerto Rico?
Well, I remember growing up, like being in a church setting forever and always telling myself, like we'd have missionaries, you know, that we'd sponsor and pay for. And I'm like, man, I could never be a missionary. That would never be my title. And now I talk to people, I'm like, I guess my title is missionary. You know, so I'm a missionary in Puerto Rico with Youth for Christ.
Okay.
I have a chapter there. And that's what I'm doing down there.
All right. So how did this all come about?
Man, a lot of years in the process. I went to a high school called Sunshine Bible Academy, and every year since my sophomore summer, I have gone on a mission trip for 2 weeks. A gentleman named Rich Reeker has led it from there. And like my first mission trip, we went to Mexico, and I happened to meet a couple named Daniel and Laura Peel, and they were also on a mission trip. They had a team from South Carolina. We connected really well from there on. Like the next 8-10 years, we decided to have our mission trips in the summer with that team from South Carolina. And then they became full-time missionaries. I'm probably wrong on this number, but man, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And they started in the Honduras and moved to Puerto Rico like 4 years ago. And so we've just followed them. We used to go to the Honduras, and then we went to Puerto Rico the last 4 summers. And every single summer, Daniel's a salesman. He's really good at it. And he always puts the plug, hey, when are you going to come down? When are you going to join me? When are you going to do this full time? And I was always, every time, kind of like that. Haha, that's funny, you know. And this is one of those moments where I just quit my job of 5 years. I used to sell cars, and I was just done with that. And I quit that and had like a year interim period. And I called Daniel and was like, hey, I think that like this is the time. I think I can come help you.
We might be able to do it finally.
Yeah. So sorry that was a long story, but it was like end of October 2021. I sold my house, sold about everything I owned, and flew to Puerto Rico, and the rest is history.
All right. So where specifically in Puerto Rico are you?
Okay. So I live in a town called Isabela. The Youth for Christ camp is in a town called Aguadilla. They're about half hour apart from each other. Aguadilla is like the northwest corner of Puerto Rico. So Isabela is just a half hour east of there. That's where I'm at. Most people probably know San Juan is the big city.
Right.
San Juan is the northeast corner. We're on the northwest corner.
So what is life like there?
I've been saying this all week. My first word is warm.
Yeah.
A little warmer than here. So I told everyone, I was like, I stepped off the plane with short shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops. And I was like, man, yep, this is South Dakota I remember. But other than that, I mean, it's really good. It's been really cool to get to know the culture. It's definitely a more relaxed culture. The life there is just a little bit more relaxed. Daily stuff is different every single day. We were kind of in our off season, if you will, with mission teams. So we were out at the camp often doing some construction there. But team season starts up the day that I get back, which is the 22nd. So that's going to be a whole different change of pace, but it's good. I'm excited. We're going to have, mission teams for probably the next 5 or 6 months. So that'll be great.
So what do you do as a missionary then? And especially because we got to talk a little bit when we ran into each other, along with my wife the other night.
Yes.
So we were chit-chatting about
Carrie is
that.
awesome.
Yeah, that she is. And happy Valentine's Day, my love. I know this comes out on Thursday, but we're recording on Monday. Yeah. But in terms of your daily duties and so forth, are you leading particular programs? What's going on?
Yes. We've got quite a bit going on. So like I said, it's Youth for Christ. So what we are is an outreach, probably the best way to describe it. We're not like a church, no affiliation there. What we like to do is, we go to the kids. We go to the youth, whether that's schools in town or public housing. It's, those are places that we want to go. We want to just meet these kids, build relationships with them, spend time with them, just kind of do life with them. And, hopefully at some point that leads to, we call it, we're kind of the bridge. If, hopefully that leads to some questions. And if they want to be directed to a church, then we have resources. And just basically trying to be in a mentor role that a lot of these children probably, might be lacking in.
Right. In terms of your musical background and so forth, does that come into play then in this position? Yeah,
a little bit. Yes. So
a little bit or a lot of bit?
Well, a little bit.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll continue to be more and more. Right. But on Thursday nights, we do something called Revive. We have kids like, middle school, high school, young adults come out to the camp. We play some games and we go in and we do some worship and there's a lesson. We eat pizza afterwards. And I've been able to, help lead worship, which has been wonderful, just kind of starting to dabble in that. But I do love music, and it's been a little while since I've been in it. So it's really refreshing and great being back, doing it.
What got you into music?
Oh man. I guess in high school, so one of my best friends, I graduated high school with him. His name is Tyson Brockel. He's the worship leader of the T campus of Embrace Church. We did music together, since we were like freshmen, sophomores together. We were in men's ensemble, small vocal, ministry team, anything music we did. So I actually was in music for a lot, and then kind of during college and a couple years after, I didn't do anything with it. And then he, asked me to help him do some worship stuff at Embrace, and that was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I helped him pretty heavily there. I sang mostly, and when we at one point kind of were lacking in keys players, I decided, well, shoot, it's a need. I might as well try to learn the keyboard, and I did that.
So you learned to play piano at what age?
Like 25, 26? Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, normally you find out, when you talk to people that play piano, it started about 6 or 7. Mom made me, things along that line. So what else do you play besides the keys that you brought up at the age of 25? Then?
That's it for instruments.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you were all vocal prior to that.
Yep.
Well, I can see why. You got a great voice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the keyboard, I tell people, like, I wouldn't say I can play piano. Does that make sense? You put sheet music in front of me, it looks like a foreign language.
Okay, so
but
for
you put chords in front of me.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Do you use like a fake book or anything for things? I've seen some of those, but those are usually people that still know how to play piano on a pretty high level.
Yeah.
So you're a chords man.
Yeah, I am.
And you go beyond that then?
Well, I like chords because it's probably most people that can actually read sheet music and stuff. They're like, I'm probably a poser, but no, I like the chords because it almost is like what's the word? Like an outline, you can really add an improv.
Right. So you do improv.
Yeah. It's fun. The more comfortable you get,
Yeah. And so has there been a favorite song that you've really enjoyed playing that you feel you do your best keyboard work on?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And actually, I have an answer. The song is called Highlands, Song of Ascent. It's by Hillsong United. One of my favorite songs. And it just... Yeah, it's so fun to play on keyboard. I mean, every time I play it,
Is it so fun because it was one of your favorite songs too?
Yeah, probably.
It's like, okay, I've got to learn how to do this. I have to.
It's one of those where the keyboard, has its own, you can hear it the whole song. It's got, and it's really good.
So would you compare this to playing by ear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would. That's exactly how I would describe it.
No sheet music in this man's life.
No. Actually, most of the songs that I learned, because you get chords at church, but if there's intros or any like lead lines in there, that's not on a chord chart. So I honestly have learned many songs on YouTube. Just seriously,
True.
That's what I mean. Just go on.
I've used YouTube to help with my voice and so forth after, going to a voice coach. And she said, you really should watch this guy and so forth. So, yeah. There's a use for it, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but in terms of the vocal parts, then, how did was that any push from anybody, or did you just say, "I'd like to sing"?
Yeah. So I was basically that. I actually started. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. So his little brother Jaden was the youth director there at the campus at the time, and he asked me to serve as a part of the youth team, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I don't know why it didn't click, but 3 months later, I was like, Tyson, we sang together all the time in high school. Like, can I sing with you? He's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Hadn't dawned on him for that.
Yeah, we both were like, oh, yeah, that is a thing. Oh, man, yeah.
What do you enjoy about singing?
I would say actually it's more kind of the leading part that I love.
Right.
I just would say that I have really good posture. Like I lead well, I'm not super timid like on a stage. Like I can get people motivated and just in the moment. I don't know. That's just always really come natural to me. I don't really have to try at it,
What kind of influences did you have when you were growing up?
Wow, that's a good question.
Wow, 2 of them.
That's, man.
2 good questions in 12 minutes.
2 great questions. No, they've all been good, but you got these great ones. So I went to the high school Sunshine Bible Academy. I actually went there since I was in 7th grade, and I graduated high school from there. It's a Christian boarding school, so I actually lived in dorms since I was like 13. It's 300.
Where is it located, by the way?
Miller, South Dakota. It's
in
like
Miller. Okay.
10 miles south.
All right.
It's its own little campus. Yep. Its own little quaint campus. But getting back, it was 300 miles from where I grew up. I'm from Bison, South Dakota.
Okay.
The sticks.
Wow.
Of South Dakota. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't go home very often, but like maybe 2 or 3 times a year and in the summer. So I had a lot of influences that were on campus, like staff members, teachers, coaches. Every one of my sports coaches is like a mentor, father figure, and really good. Like a gal, she was the cook when I was in high school. Her name was Benita Engel. Like she's a second mother, I've just had all these. It's been really cool. I've met a lot of people that are really great people that I'm sure I wouldn't have if I was in maybe a normal, typical high school setting.
Right.
Or at least spent the time with them that I did,
So what were summers like then?
Yeah. So summers were, I think the first year, my 7th grade year, I went back and helped my dad on the farm and ranch. And then actually every summer after that, I had a job, some sort of different job. Like I've done roofing I did roofing, spray foam insulation one summer. I did flooring in Bismarck one summer. I did work for the city in Bison one summer. Man, I feel like there's more, but those were, I always had a summer job.
So as you were going to Sunshine Bible Academy, what was it in your high school years that you were thinking, I'd really like to do this as a job or as a career?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the dream that never came true. But when I was in high school and, headed into college, I love basketball. It's another one of my passions that I love basketball. And I was pretty good at it. And I really, really wanted to be a college basketball coach. That was kind of the dream when I was my first dream. Right. And I went to college on that path. I graduated from Dakota Wesleyan with an exercise science degree, minor in coaching, minor in business. That was like I asked my advisor, and that was like the path. He's like, this is the best way to do it. And, did some, I don't know if you want to say internships or what they'd be called with the basketball teams. And unfortunately, I wish I'd have known this prior, but it's like, the people that get hired as your basketball assistant coaches and the student assistants or whatever are people that play basketball. And like, that's rightfully so. I guess like I didn't play basketball in college. I should have led with that. I played football in college. So I kind of like, maybe I should have done football and I'd have got a coaching gig, but I love basketball and it just didn't work out. And I did an internship coming out of college at the Sanford Wellness Center here in Sioux Falls. And, it was right out of college, my first job offer. So I took it. After 3 months, they offered me a job as an exercise specialist. And so that was just kind of that was the path for the moment,
So when you were thinking of becoming a college basketball coach, who were you thinking you'd be like?
Oh, man. So I'm a big Tar Heels fan. And all my Tar Heels fans' friends are going to like crucify me for this, but Coach K.
Yeah.
I love Coach K. I love Roy Williams too, but Coach K is like forever. Like
True.
I don't know any other coach like at Duke in my lifetime. It's like he's
he still looks like he's 25.
I know.
Yeah.
He's retiring this year.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. It's long. Wow.
Long tenure.
He's had a great career.
Yeah.
Well, that's really a good one to look up to.
Yeah.
What about, other music that you like to listen to and so forth?
Yeah.
What's on your iPad or whatever you use for streaming services or whatever?
For music, yeah.
What's in the Preston Liebelt library?
Yeah. Okay. Spotify is what I use. That might be a shameless little plug there, but I love Spotify.
Hey, the show's on Spotify.
Yeah, I just followed it today.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I listen to a lot of worship music. That's kind of like it's not like cliche when I say it. I actually do love listening to worship music, not just because I was on a worship team. Hillsong United, one of my absolutely favorite bands or worship teams. Bethel is fantastic. Elevation worship's great. But if we're stepping outside that realm, I love 90s music, man. 90s hip hop, 90s rap. That was what I grew up in. And so, hey, I think we had a really great halftime show last night. I was like, that's the best one I've seen. And my personal opinion, the only one that could beat it would be a Backstreet Boys one. That's my era, man.
Yeah, that definitely is. Yep. I outgrew the demographic for the Super Bowl halftime show about 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, the last good one was Prince.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it is dependent upon the
It
time
is.
frame that you grew up and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I say 90s. A lot of it is 2000s too. I guess that's when I was in high school. Was the 2000s?
What about did you ever dream of being in a rock band?
No,
you didn't go that route, huh?
No. That was never my dream. No.
I always think it's everybody at some point kind of wants to be a rock star. Not necessarily live the life, but just that standing on stage, making a crowd go wild.
Yep. So here's my, this is going to make some people laugh and some people are going to maybe like me more. I don't know. But the very first concert, and this is funny, it's going to date me a little bit too, concert that I ever watched was on VHS, and it was Backstreet Boys Millennium. And they were all like in their white suits. And I'll tell you what, that was it. That was all of a sudden the dream. I was like, that's okay. I want to be a Backstreet Boy.
So we got to find you a white suit.
Yeah. I've been looking for a linen one.
Now that you're in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
So on a big island in a white suit, they might think you're Rourke.
That's what. Yes. I've been looking for the linen suits.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Yeah, I could do it too. I think I could practice.
Well, you
want
to be a voice actor.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's hear it.
Did you say that?
Do a Rourke.
Well, okay. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
That was a little too much voiceover work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Hot rock and flight.
Welcome to Fantasy Island. That's so many. Oh man.
All right. So this voice actor, because we talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
So like what type of characters and so forth? Do you have any in mind as to what you kind of like to do for that?
Man, I don't even know. It's such a huge... I've just been wanting to get into it, wanting to dabble into it. I would love... I don't know if I could pinpoint like a certain character, but I would love to do like animated, like
right.
Disney.
Yeah.
All like
great paying stuff out there for it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And I just enjoy, like, I'm a kid at heart. Every new Disney movie, every new Pixar movie. Moana is my favorite movie. Huge Dwayne Johnson fan, so that helped too.
The Rock.
Yeah.
And he introed the Super Bowl.
Boy, he sure did.
Wow. It's like, I've never seen this done before.
No,
We've never had an intro to a Super Bowl.
Yep. Oh, man.
We had a coin flip, a kickoff, and we started.
Yep.
And then everybody watched the commercials.
Yes.
Anyway, getting back to that, though, because you do have a tremendous voice.
Thanks.
There's a lot behind it. So
I appreciate that.
I think you will do very, very well once you actually start to work on it and so forth. But that's not the only thing you're hoping to do. You also want to start a podcast.
I do. I would love to start a podcast, actually. That's almost even more of like a dream. I don't know monetary value where all of it comes from. To me, it's like the voice acting maybe would be what's going to support
better pay
me.
in the voice acting, yes.
Yeah. So maybe that's
the $6 a week I make off this show isn't paying any bills.
You know how you have to have your day job, and then you can do your dream at night on the side. It's like I feel like my day job maybe would be the voice acting. I got to get paid, but the real dream was a podcast.
Podcast is much easier to start on your own than voice acting.
Oh,
yeah. So you've got that going for you.
Okay.
Plus, you showed me the invoice, at least, of the equipment that you already have.
Yeah. Oh, apparently it's pretty good stuff.
You're
I don't know.
in good shape.
Okay, that's good to know too.
Now you just have to come down and narrow that part down of what do you want to talk about.
Yeah.
What's the podcast going to be about?
The toughest. There's another great question, Dave.
3 and 22 minutes.
Oh man,
going today.
It's very, very hard. That's maybe why I'm kind of a perfectionist to a fault. I always say that because it's like I'm one of those guys that it's procrastination. Really, is what it is. I want like something. I want the stars to align before I start something. So in my head, I'm like, I have to have the perfect topic, or else it's not going to be an enjoyable podcast. But.
Well, it will be for somebody no matter what.
That's true.
That's the thing. Because I can't remember the most recent figures, but 300,000 podcasters or something. Wow. Yeah. So, it's one of those deals that it's going to hit somebody in the heart or in the mind or in the soul. And you've always got that to think of.
Yeah.
But I think, we talked a little bit the other night. I think what you ought to do is you should focus on other people's passions.
Okay.
Because you seem to be very intrigued by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you would do quite well on that forefront.
And here's the thing: people could, if you're getting interviewed, you got to come to Puerto Rico. So that's like an added bonus,
So I'm going to be on your first show?
Yeah. Yep. Yes. Oh man, you got to come to Paradise if you want to get an interview.
It has to be fun down there.
Oh, it's great. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you don't mind. I was talking to some friends yesterday, and I was like, man, I try to not just take things for granted, right? I mean, we all, hopefully aim to do that, but it's so easy when it's part of your day-to-day schedule. But like, I drive to work at 7:30 and I drive home at 4:30, and my route literally goes along the ocean, like my entire route to work, and you can easily take that for granted.
No doubt.
But most people here are listening to this are probably like, wow, like how could you ever take that for granted? And that's the question I ask myself. So every day I try to, like, right when I come out of my house, I go down, and it's a beach town. So I'm like at the top of the hill, and you just straight shot at the ocean. And then about halfway, I go through a town called Hobos, which is like, if you were going to Puerto Rico and you did research like on a place that you wanted to surf, you're probably going to Hobos. Like, it's the surf town there. It's beautiful beach, and I literally drive right through it twice a day, and so I try to intentionally look over and be like, wow, that's beautiful,
Yeah. Question from a man that weighs 260 pounds. How's the food?
Yeah. Well, I weigh the same. So the food.
You're taller though.
The food is very good. I would honestly say less like just fresh seafood than I thought there would be. Shellfish you can get, shrimp, that type of thing. But like, just fish. I thought maybe there'd be a little bit more just kind of fresh fish everywhere. Not so much.
Yeah.
But
what about fruits?
Food is still, fruits
and vegetables.
Man. I've put some stuff on my stories. Like, I love sweet potatoes, staple in my diet. I kid you not. I've bought sweet potatoes there that were like the size of my head. I mean, huge. Like, it's feed me for 6 meals, sweet potatoes. And the same with avocados. Avocados there are just huge. I mean, and wow, way cheaper than here. And there is a different taste profile. Their avocados are kind of sweet. Like, you could actually say this tastes like a fruit.
So
it's interesting.
Do people actually, like, then instead of just using them to make guacamole and things, do they open them up and just eat them?
Well, I do.
You do.
But yeah. I've done that always. I like avocados a lot. Literally, I cut it in half, and I salt it a little bit, and I enjoy avocados though.
Excellent. Well, I've enjoyed chatting with you. So, Preston, before we go, always a couple of questions I like to ask. Yeah. What do you like to be entertained by? What provides you happiness when you go out to seek entertainment?
Yeah. Twofold. I really enjoy good people, good company. I just love. I've been told I'm a very good gatherer often. I just the first thing, I flew in Friday, and like the first thing we did, I had a reservation at Carnival 4 hours later, and it was just a group of like 10 of us, because I just wanted to go spend time with good people and eat good food, and that was awesome. And the other part, if it's more of myself, I'm actually a little bit of a gamer. I do like, so if I'm entertaining myself at home, Assassin's Creed is my jam.
That's the go-to?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Any other hobbies?
I love to golf.
Oh.
Yes.
And you're young, so you can still do it.
Young enough.
All my replacement parts and dismembered parts and so forth don't allow me to play the game anymore. But so I'm jealous in that. So then, of course, that leads to, what's golf like in Puerto Rico?
Oh, yeah.
Besides warmer, you already used that one.
Yeah. That almost maybe is like, that's warm almost too too much because I'm a big dude. Like I go out there and swing some clubs and I'm sweating a little bit, but it's so apparently. So I live in Isabela. Apparently there is a like gorgeous golf course there that I cannot afford to golf at. But in Aguadilla, the town that I work in, there's a golf course that we have gone to, and it was awesome because just like my drive, like the whole course is right along the ocean, and it's right across the road. Here's another one: it's right across the road from an airport. So along with having the ocean, the whole time you're golfing, when the planes are landing, they're flying right over your head. So it's just a really cool experience.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been really cool talking to you. So thank you so much. When do you go back then?
I go back on the 21st is a Monday. I fly out of here then. I have a little bit. I have an overnight layover in Orlando, and then I get into Puerto Rico at like 4 p.m. on Tuesday. But that layover is great because I have a really good set of friends in Orlando. So now I get to like stop and see them almost every time I travel.
All right. Preston Liebel, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, Dave, very much.
And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XL Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xlchiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XL Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
A Sioux Falls Stage Awards special distinction for promoting the arts. Here is Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. You know what I like to say, always a pleasure to bring talent to the show, and always a pleasure to have new guests on. And, this comes out on Thursday, but it is being recorded on Monday, Valentine's Day. And we talk about people having the love of theater. Well, we've got love from the theater this time around as we welcome to the show Aaron Sharp and Emily Dykstra. How are you two?
Good.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear that.
Doing well. Yes.
And anything special coming up in your lives?
No, not I can't think of anything.
He forgot to put the wedding on his calendar.
Oh,
my,
yes,
yeah.
There is that. I don't know that counts. I did ask her if I had it in my phone to make sure that I showed up on the right day.
Yeah, that would help. And you're actually going to be getting married on stage?
Yes.
Oh, fun. Out of Corson?
At the Corson Theater.
Yep.
Oh, fun. I have seen you. I've seen both of you at Corson, and I've also seen you at other places. And most recently, Aaron, you just finished up playing Paul Horning in the premiere Playhouse production of Lombardi.
Correct. Yep.
And you're your own worst critic.
Well, yeah.
Oh, and Emily's shaking her head.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I saw you on opening night.
Yep.
And sent you a note telling you what a wonderful job you did.
Yes, thank you.
And you said, "Oh, give me another chance." I really wasn't into it. Missed my favorite. So, what was your favorite line? Because then I missed it then too.
Yeah, it was opening night, and I don't know if it was just the jitters or what, but I dropped part of the little terrier, the dog that ran out on the field line. And then because of that, I was thinking about it in the middle of the line, and then I didn't bark because I bark like a terrier, at him. So I'm like, ruff, ruff, and that's always good for the audience. But because of that opening night, then I dropped that, and and anytime that that happens, of course, it's a rookie mistake to be thinking about your line in the middle of your line. If something goes wrong, you're just supposed to let it go and go on to the next and just keep going. And then think about it later, because if you're thinking about it, the mistakes compound. Yeah.
So the show closed.
It did.
With a matinee on the day of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
After having played the part of an NFL player.
Right.
Did you look at the Super Bowl differently?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I I didn't look at it differently. I was just my main concern that day was it was a matinee 2 p.m. show, and then it was over about 3:30, and the Super Bowl started at 5:30. And my main concern was tearing everything down and getting
the
strike
Yeah.
in time. And I expressed those concerns to Jesse Jensen, our director, when he cast me. I was like, we have a show on Super Bowl Sunday, and I need to watch the game. So, and he's like, we'll get you out of there on time. So they did their best, and I got to watch most of the game. So,
all right. So, Emily, what did you think of his performance?
Oh, he's always good.
Yeah.
I love watching him.
It's a natural, isn't it?
Yep,
Right.
and he really is his own worst critic all the time.
Are you as well?
He might be my worst critic.
Really?
It's possible. Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So how long has this been going on? You two being on stage together. You've acted many times together.
Many times. We met 11 years ago on stage in our first show together, and ever since.
All right. What was that show?
And then there were none.
Okay. And was the spark there immediately?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
Yeah, it was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, Emily, I recently saw you down at Old Town.
Yep.
In Boing Boing. Fun show. And what did you enjoy about that particular show?
Oh, that show. So I already had done that show once in Corson, where I played Gabriella, the Italian stewardess. And then this time I was playing Gretchen, the German.
Right.
So it was fun to play a different part, learn a new accent the best that I could. That Italian kept creeping back in every once in a while because I was so used to it from doing it before. But yeah, so it's always fun. And a new cast,
Right.
doing it with a whole new group of people, and it's a great show.
So when you've been one part and you play another, and that's a small cast, so a lot of lines for everybody.
Yep.
Do you remember doing the lines from Gabrielle?
I remembered some of them, some of my favorite lines, I obviously remembered. Yeah.
So what decided that, let's finally do this and let's get married?
All right. Well, this is actually a story.
Well, that's what I like.
Yes. Okay. So here's how it started. We started dating and then there were none 11 years
Right.
ago. And at the time, she lived in Lenox. And so after, 6 months or a year of us dating, she came to me one day. I lived in an apartment in Sioux Falls.
It was like 4 months.
Okay. Whatever.
Remember, you're the one that forgot to put it in the damn calendar.
Right,
she knows
right.
the
Yeah,
dates.
so she knows time. Whatever. Okay. That doesn't really change the story so much. But anyway, at some point, she's like, so what would you think if I moved into your building? And I was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Oh,
and she was like, what? All offended almost. I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, listen, this would be great if we're getting along and everything's good. It's real convenient if you're just down the hall. I was like, well, what happens when we break up and then I'm dating somebody else?
Oh,
yes.
When or if.
Did he say it that way?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I'm bringing somebody else down the hall and you happen to be there. I said, that could be really awkward, inconvenient, uncomfortable. And so I was like, so it's just probably not a good idea. Well, she didn't listen. She moved in anyway.
Yep.
So she quickly became the neighbor girl. And then to all our friends, theaters, the one of the reasons that I really love theaters, it's a tight knit group and
Right.
you spend
Very
so much
much
time.
family.
It becomes family really quick. And then it became, people would call up on a Friday night or Saturday night and they'd be like, what are you and the neighbor girl doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll have to, call her and see, And so, and then became the way I referred to her too. I was like, well, I'll see what the neighbor girl's doing. See what the neighbor girl's doing.
It stuck.
And it stuck. And yeah, people still call her the neighbor girl. As a matter of fact, a few people were concerned with what they were going to call her now that we were getting married. They're like, well, and I was like, nope, she's the neighbor girl forever. I was like, it doesn't matter if we're married or not. She'll still be the neighbor girl. We've now lived together and have for about a year. And they were like, oh, no more neighbor girl, huh? I was like, no,
She's
she'll
always
still be the neighbor girl.
Are you going to write a play about this? That's a great name for a play. The Neighbor Girl.
It could be, but it's also, it would have to be, it would maybe be a dark or a horror movie, because that's like a stalker, I mean, like full on stalker, the Neighbor Girl, because she did not heed my wishes or thoughts or my concerns. She just did it anyway.
But it all worked out.
So she was a full on stalker.
All right. So how did the proposal go?
Okay. I will back up before we get to the proposal, because here's one other thing that I told her when we did start dating. I was like, look, I like you and everything, but we're at different points in our lives. My kids are a little bit older. Your kids are younger. I may not ever be able to get married again. She's like, oh, that's fine. And I was like, I'm not sure I want to raise kids again, even though I love kids. She's like, well, we'll just date for 15 years and then we'll get married. And I'm like, all right, well, that sounds great. Maybe that's what we'll do, So
4 years ahead of schedule.
We're 4 years ahead of schedule. And I think that maybe she did not, or she expected it to be maybe another 4 years, because she didn't have any idea. It was New Year's Eve, and she was doing Boeing at the dinner theater, and then I volunteered to do the dishwashing down there, and so I was going to be there that night anyway. And I knew that being New Year's Eve and doing a show, I was like, no one's going out for New Year's parties anyway. I mean, because by the time they get done with the show, they have to set all the tables for the next day. By the time they're done doing that, and then they eat the food, the cast eats
it's going to be late. Yeah.
It's going to be almost 10:30, 11 o'clock anyway, So, and then drive back to town, you'd miss the ball drop, in New York, whatever. So, so my plan was, I called John Bow and I was like, hey, I said, I'm doing this video. And if we can put them on the TVs there, and then when we're all done, then I will play this video and then propose to Emily. So I contacted Randy Rood, and he helped me with this video, and it was just a collaboration of all the a bunch of photos. And it started out, it said me, and then there was just pictures of me every 2 seconds. They would shift. And then it said the Neighbor Girl, and then there was pictures of Emily, and then there was it said us, and then there's pictures of us over the 11 years that we had been together. And I picked out 3 songs, and it lasted about 3 songs, so it was about a 10-minute video, and I don't know how many pictures, but a lot of theater pictures and a lot of really good photos. I mean, we like to travel the world. Pre-COVID anyway. I mean, we haven't been able to go anywhere now for a while. But
my wife and I finally got to a theater movie yesterday.
Yeah.
First time since the pandemic.
We are looking forward to traveling again. But anyway, so I had that video made, and then when she was done performing, and a few people knew. I told as few as I could, so it'd be a surprise for other people as well. And like Virgin made extra food.
Yes, in fact, John was on the show just a few weeks back and talked about that.
And she's amazing.
Yeah.
So she made extra food, which I was like, you don't have to do this, but of course she wouldn't listen. I mean, it's just the way she is. And John had it up on the video, and it worked out good. And she said yes.
Yeah.
So now she's stuck with me.
So Neighbor Girl.
Yes.
How was the proposal in your perspective then?
I was definitely surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it made sense. Yeah, let's have a New Year's Eve party. We aren't going to have time to go anywhere anyways. So I had no clue.
Oh, and I did have John Bode put that little Facebook.
Oh, yeah. He invited us to a Facebook event.
Facebook
New Year's Eve party.
Sneaky.
His idea.
Sneaky.
And
Well done.
Initially, Aaron wasn't even invited to it.
Yeah.
So
that was the other thing, because I was like, God, I wonder if he's going to get this out there. And then Emily's like, oh, we got invited to Old Town. And I was like, oh, okay. And I wanted to see how he did. And I go on there, and I'm like, I'm not on there.
I was like, oh yeah, you're not on the guest
she goes,
list.
You're not invited.
So much for volunteering to do dishes,
right?
Yeah.
She said send a text to John's like, can you add Aaron? And he's like, no, didn't want him to come.
No, I was actually, Virgin making food was that's nothing new. So yeah, she made all the food and I actually got a plate, and then Aaron called me up and he wanted to talk to me. And then he's sitting there just asking me random questions. And I was like,
there was
okay, I'm going to go eat now.
Difficulty.
Yeah. And I didn't know this.
so I
he's
had her
trying to distract me
in the background.
Oh,
and I gave John the signal, and then he couldn't get it right away. And it took about, maybe a minute real time. So then I had to improvise, which if anybody that's seen me on stage knows, when it comes to improvisation, it's not my strong suit.
Well, he was asking me all these questions, how'd the show go tonight and stuff like that and whatever. And then I was just like, okay, I don't know what we're doing. I was like, I'm going to go eat. And then I went and sat down and I barely got a bite down. And then he was like motioning for me again. And I'm like, for crying out loud, what now?
Yep.
But I think as soon as the video started, I kind of knew.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So back to theater.
Yeah.
What's the most fun you've had acting with him?
Oh, gosh. We have played so many parts together. We have been brother and sister, married, engaged. He's played my father-in-law. I think almost any part that you can play. And so it's always fun, just the new relationship on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what's the most fun? And probably Noises Off. I think that was probably the most fun we've ever had on stage together for both of us.
That's my favorite show of all time. I wanted to, when I was a freshman in high school, my high school did it. And they did 3 plays a year. And that was the first one of that season. And a little bit risque for high school. But we had a new director who was young. He was from California, and he pushed the envelope a little bit. And he didn't last very long, but he was good.
Yeah.
And so I saw that play, and I was just blown away. I was like, why wasn't I in that? So then I went out for all the rest of the theater. I was in 11 shows in high school, but that was one that I always wanted to do. And I had done one show, I think, at Sect when Noises Off was coming, because I think Noises Off was my second show with that theater. So I'd done one there. But when that one came up, I was like, oh, I want to be in that. And I knew how stiff the competition was and stuff, and how hard it was to get in there. But that one, I went and I got the script. And I told Emily, I said, we're going to audition for this. And then my buddy, Harold Gordon, I told him, I was like, oh, you have to be in this. And that's a whole nother story that I won't get sidetracked on right now. but it ended up being that me, Harold, and Emily got into it. And I was actually a different character than I originally thought I was wanted to be, but it turned out to be the best there. After that show, I was like, okay, I did it. I don't have to do anything else. And that's been quite a long time ago, but that is still my favorite show to date. And we had an amazing cast. It was an amazing cast.
Yep.
So.
Well, I saw you together last year at the Corson with Charlie Cox Runs with Scissors.
Yep. Yes.
Fun show. And congratulations to you, Aaron, because you won they call it basically a Broadway
regional
or the Sioux Falls Award for Broadway and so forth with that performance.
Yeah, that performance also. Now this is a lot later in now. Lombardi I just finished was my 28th show since we met in that first one. So I'm averaging just over 2 shows a year, over 5 theaters. And Charlie Cox was just 2 shows ago or 3 shows ago, and that one was very different role for me. Excuse me. There again, I did not want that role. I wanted to be Death. But Brian Shipper, the director, he made it very clear to me. He's like, "Oh, you are never going to be Death." Matter of fact, if Nathan hadn't taken that role, Nathan Sparks, you still wouldn't have been Death. It's like, oh, he's like, nah, you would have been. I've seen you do roles like that. He said, you needed something else, something to push you. And playing Charlie Cox did push me a little bit because there was more substance and meat to the role. There was a serious undertones with the character, not just straight comedy, which I'm comfortable with. And So it pushed me a little bit because there's actually a scene. For those that aren't familiar with the show, that the character had Lou Gehrig's disease. They found out he had Lou Gehrig's disease, and then he's coming to terms with that or whatever. And then some symptoms start to show up. But and there's some flashbacks and from when he was a kid and his mother took care of someone with Lou Gehrig's disease. But in that flashback and in that moment, and he's dealing with his own stuff, I actually had to cry on stage, and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to pull that off. I mean, how do you just cry? You know,
Yeah.
I'd seen it done on stage before. Molly Vetter, or now Molly Leese in Les Mis, you know, voice of an angel, one of the best actors I've ever acted with, up there crying, singing on stage. And I was just so blown away. I'm like, how do you do that? You know? And so when this opportunity came, I was like, well, you know, if it comes down to it, I'll rub hot sauce in my eye or something. You know? I didn't know how I was going to do it, but
a little Vicks Vapor rub.
Yeah. But when it came down to it and you really get involved in the play and the performance, and then you pull little circumstances from your own life, I was able to do it and able to pull it off. So I was really actually proud of that role.
Yeah.
So
Emily, what's been your favorite part to have played?
Of Charlie Cox? Of any play?
Anything you've been in.
Oh gosh, we have so much fun. Noises Off was probably one of my favorite memories. It's really funny because I had to wear almost nothing in that show. I was in a bra and underwear for a lot of the show, and I was very nervous, especially that first night having an audience.
there's a good story about that.
Yeah. And so he was the guy that I was dating, and we were, you know, going to this house to hook up or whatever in that show. And so we go upstairs to the bedroom. Well, once we're up there, I have to take my dress off, and the next time we come on, I have underwear on, and that's it. And he saw the look on my face, and he knew I was freaking out a little bit. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, I don't know. And he's like, "Ah, too bad, we got to go on." And he opened the door and he dragged me on stage, and
it was about
that was
much
it.
time because
Yeah.
she had they made sure that she was comfortable in the outfit, because in that show ahead of time they let people know if you accept that role,
Yep.
you're going to be
Right.
in your underwear for half the show, and if you get the role that I did, you have to fall down the stairs, and that's just part of it. And so the costumer, Cindy Bakke, she found something that she was comfortable with, and then we had to try on all our costumes for the cast or whatever, and the director. And that was the first time she had a little apprehension. It was fine putting it on, but then it's like, oh, I
went in the bathroom and I
come
put
out.
it on, you know, because the director wanted to make sure it was good, and he approved of all the costumes, whatever. And I put it on, and then I went, oh boy, I have to go out in this. And it was just the cast.
Mhm.
It was not anybody else. And I was like, geez, I didn't think this was going to be any different than putting a swimsuit on and, you know, walking out. But for some reason it is. So I walked out, and
So she did that,
Yeah.
and it was good reaction or whatever, and then she became comfortable with it.
Yeah.
right, with
You
the
know?
cast. Until
But
you
then
get a
as
full
soon-
audience.
But
yeah.
as soon as we had
Baptism
an
by fire
audience,
altogether.
it was the preview night. It really was. She went out, and I looked over at her, and she just didn't look right. And I was like, "Are you all right?" And she's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Well, here we go."
And there's not
Yeah.
there's not a lot of backstage space at Corson.
Yeah, right.
So everything's
one
quite close.
Was at Noises.
That show was at SAG.
Oh, that was at
That
SAG.
was
Okay.
at the Orpheum. Yeah, that had a
okay.
big
So that would have been
revolve.
completely different
Yeah.
situation.
But
But,
we've had-
still, then you got to worry about a bigger audience.
Yeah. But we've had so much fun on stage. There's been times I've stolen his line. You know, we come off stage and he's like, "You took my line." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I didn't say your line." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you did." And then he tells me, and I'm like, "Oh, I really did say your line."
And now in that show, that was The Curious Savage, and we played brother and sister. There's three of us. Greg Belfridge, who's on the
my
radio.
former boss.
Yeah.
He was our older brother, and the three of us were the evil stepkids or whatever. But I had like 12 lines in that play. And out of those 12 lines,
And then she takes
And
one?
I took one.
and I had like 26 words. And she might have taken and it was funny because it didn't make any sense for her to take my line, because she said her line, then she said mine, and then she answered She said all three, and I was just like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, "I'm right here. I was gonna say it." So yeah, that was very funny as well.
So when you two decide to audition for the same show, first of all, what's that like? And then if you get the parts, what are you two like at home when you're running your lines and just trying to get the memorization down?
We help each other with lines, no matter if
regardless.
one of us in a show or both of us.
That helps me so much. As a matter of fact,
and it's nice when we actually have a lot of scenes together because
then
we're working our lines. Yeah, you're running your own lines.
Besides rehearsal, you're rehearsing at home.
Yep.
But yeah, I do a little bit more shows than she does, just simply because it's a big time commitment. When you get in a show, it's about 2 to 3 months, 4 to 5 nights a week, for 2 to 3 hours. And then she has kids that she also has to take care of because they aren't grown up yet.
Almost.
So
I'm getting there.
So, and when they were younger, it's a lot harder. You can't do 2 or 3 shows in a row. It becomes a strain on them and the family life as well. So, but yeah, when you always got to audition, you got to get in. There's been times that we were thought we were going to do a show together, and then one or the other of us didn't get the part. I just auditioned for The Psychic and did not get in.
Okay.
And you're always disappointed when you don't get cast. But the thing is, if you let it affect you too much, you're in the wrong business because there is no's, and so you just gotta do the next one. There'll be another one. And that's what I tell a lot of young actors, because there's, I've been blessed to get quite a few roles, and I work hard at it. And then, a young actor or something will come and they'll be like, "Oh, I've got turned down 2 or 3 times, in a row." I'm like, "Well, just keep doing it."
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just part of it. Everybody gets no's, and they're like, and a lot of time I feel like they're like, "Yeah, but you don't," It's like, no, actually I do. And here's another example, and it just happened. And so I was upset a little bit to myself, for about a day. And then the cast list got released, and Tyler Johnson was a friend of mine who got the role that I wanted, or that I thought I wanted in my mind. And I'm not upset anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I envision him in that role, and it gives me so much joy because it's like, oh, I can see what the director was thinking. I mean, that's probably the right choice. And he'll probably be better than I ever could in that role too. I mean, it's just so it's just one of those things. Then it's on to the next thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't prevent you from going to the show.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah,
We're going. Yep. It's a really good cast. It's matter of fact, out of 6 people in the cast, I've done shows with 5 of them. And Emily Wilson, I think, is the only one that I haven't done a show with, but I've seen her.
She's one of my favorites.
Mutual friends.
She's a dear friend.
Yeah. So, and that's why I say, once you start doing it and you hang around, it's a really small. I mean, it's amazing how it's like, how many people that you intersect with that it's like, oh, the flip side of that surprises me sometimes. So now I've been doing shows for 11 years, again. And this last show, Chris Andrews and Nancy Tapkin, they've been around for a long time acting as well. Our paths had never crossed, and sometimes you'll get that. It's like, how can these all be active actors and we haven't ever done a show together yet, so that was a real
just
treat.
A little sidebar, because I've primarily seen Chris in Improv Falls, and then to see him play Lombardi, and he nailed it. Wow.
Well, and he was one of those actors that I've seen on stage several times, and I always looked up to him. He is one that I've never seen a bad performance from him, and then the flip side of that, the improv fall stuff, he's amazing at that.
Yeah,
and like I said,
is.
that's one of those things that I feel like I struggle with, but
Just remember, yes, and.
Yes, and yep, exactly that game. So it was a real treat to be able to, check one off the list, and Nancy Tapkin was the other one. I've seen her on stage and she's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different levels all the time, and you'll sit down, you have brand new cast, and you sit down, you get around the table, and we'll do a read through, and there's that one person that's like, you look at them and you're like, oh, you're ready to perform, and your character's already there. It takes me forever to develop a character. I feel like it always develops really late, but Nancy is one that day one, she has a character.
Boom.
It's so amazing, so such a strong actress. So we really had a lot of fun with this last show.
All right. A couple of questions I always like to end with, and Emily, we'll go with you first.
Okay.
So when you are not on stage and being part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Entertained by? Wow. I don't know. I feel like I'm boring off stage, honestly. Aaron would probably say differently, but I think my social life is because of him. And I tell him that all the time. I'm like, if we ever break up, like, I'm going to have nothing to do.
Yeah.
You are the one that is the social butterfly.
See, I'm referred to as that in our family.
Yep.
But any other hobbies then?
Yeah, I like to read.
Okay.
Which Aaron finds very annoying because I read far too fast, he says.
I'll tell you about that. We get on an airplane, and I don't read because I've always been a slow reader. And she will read, or I will read over her shoulder, and I'll get halfway through the first page, and she'll flip it.
She's flipping it.
Yep.
She's flipped it already. I'm like, you are not reading that.
I read a lot. I like
So
to
she
read.
does.
Yeah.
I sing. Karaoke is always fun. Yep. It's one of my favorite things.
Love it. What's your go-to?
Let's Hear It for the Boy.
Really?
Yep.
Awesome tune. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm older. Standards. Mac the Knife by Bobby Darin. Every time. Crazy Frank at Rowena, he always has it just cued.
Yep. So I do the two things that Aaron doesn't do: sing karaoke and read.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
So, Aaron, when you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Well, I obviously like to go to shows.
Mhm.
We will do as much, even when we don't. When I'm no longer allowed on stage, I will still go and support that.
Well, that's a long time away.
Hopefully. I like to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's my team. I play Pokemon.
Okay.
And I drive a big brown truck.
Yeah.
Our whole basement is black and yellow.
Yep. Our whole basement is. People say, "Oh, you have a Steeler room?" I'm like, "Nope, I bought a house and now I have a Steeler basement."
Yeah.
The whole thing is.
Oh my.
So, and it's nice. We have a nice place that is good for entertaining.
Yeah.
We always have the cast parties.
Oh, fun. Good for you.
And we enjoy that.
And we like to travel
Yeah.
when we can.
True.
Yeah.
Any other
And
hobbies
that's the
for
other
you
thing.
then?
That's it.
That's it?
Traveling. Yeah. I mean, I used to do archery. I mean, I hunt maybe once a year or once every other year with my dad and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up with a bow in my hand. I like to fish, but I usually do that West River as well. So yeah, I mean, I'd say the thing that I do the most now is traveling and then theater.
Yeah. When's the wedding?
April 23rd.
April 23rd. All right.
Better add
Got it.
Yeah, get that in your phone.
Aaron Sharp, Emily Dykstra, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
I'll get to the usual thank yous in a moment, but as promised, here's Brady Reed's single,
nights.
I try to swim, to stay afloat. I close my eyes and I hope. A simple life, a troubled mind. I try to leave it all behind. Whichever way I go, no matter where I turn, your bright and shining light will lead me home. Though the days grow cold and the nights grow long, perfect time to run away, to see the leaves as they change. These sunny days, I feel the warmth on my skin. Take me back, take me back. Whichever way I go, no matter where I turn, your bright and shining light will lead me home. Though the days grow cold and the nights grow long, whichever way I go, no matter where I turn, your bright and shining light will lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. You will lead me home. You will lead me home. Lead me home. Though the days grow cold and the nights grow long, you will lead me home.
Thanks again to Brady, as well as my other guests, actors Aaron Sharp and Emily Dykstra, and singing self-taught keyboard chord man Preston Liebelt. Obviously, fundraising is a big part of his job in Puerto Rico, so if you could help, he'd greatly appreciate it. You'll find him on Instagram and Snapchat under AP Liebelt. That's APLIEBELT. APLIEBELT. Thank you to the man that puts the R&R Wine Bar and Kitchen, Ricardo Terabelsi. All of this week's conversations were recorded there, so thank you very much, Ricardo. Always appreciate it. And as always, thank you for the social media sharing, the streaming, the downloading. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the Dave Holly Hour. Check out the website, davehollyhour.com. Feel free to buy me a cup of coffee on that front page. Remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moppet Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHolleyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holley on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holley Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holley Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.